So don't, I just haven't slept enough. Don't even know what the fuck I want to say. I just want to say thank everybody for being out here. Thank all our leadership, admin, Seth, my bargaining team members. Most of all, I need some sleep. And once again, fuck you, UC! Hi everyone, thank you. I'm gonna echo what Bertha said and Catherine, because having you guys on the front line means a lot. UC is very used to have workers on a corner and corner them until they say, we can take it no more, right? But with AFSCME, $32.99, we prove them once again, they are wrong. We are the ones who cornered them. And we're no longer going to accept them to step on us, step on our families, step on our students, step in the community that we represent. So we still have ways to go. The students, you have your fight, but we got your back. That's right. Your fight is our fight. Yes. And we're still fighting the institution that represents supposedly the public, but it's not for the public when they're making and piling up their pockets with the money that you guys pay. And it's just a shame when students go hungry. It's just a shame when students don't have a place to live, but the university is still charging the amount of money that they charge you on student tuition. It's a shame that they are actually thinking on increasing your tuition. It's bullshit because they do not need to do that in order to keep expanding. They need to take care of their students that they serve and the students that pay for them to be the elite university in this country. So thank you again. We are very proud of what we have done so far, but without your help, we wouldn't accomplish it. So ask me, hold the lines. We're going to continue holding the lines, and we're going to be there for you guys as you have been for us. Yes. And that's not a statement, it's a promise. We will get them, and we'll get what you guys need and what we need in our other units that we're still bargaining for. Thank you.
Who runs UC?
We run UC!
Who runs UC?
We run UC!
That's right. The university tried to divide students and workers. But we said no, because we're together, right?
Yes!
We show UC when students and workers are together, we win, right?
Yes!
Whose university?
Our university!
Whose university?
Our university!
We are so sick of the corporate greed. Shame on UC. They try to shame our students. They try to shame our workers. But guess what? We won't stand for it. Am I right? We're not going to stand for that. Because when students and workers join together, we have people power. Right? When students and workers join together, we have people power. People power. People power.
People power!
People power.
People power!
People power.
People power!
Who runs UC?
We run UC!
Who runs UC?
We run UC!
Whose university?
Our university!
Whose university?
Our university!
Whose university?
Our university!
Hi everyone, my name is Ruth. I'm from San Diego. I always have a heart for my students. You know, your student leaders have been with us on all this fight, and all this alliance between the students and our workers rocks. In solidarity with you all, we can attain, we can get UC, we can get the real heart, like what we did with service. We have to stop inequality in the UC system. when it comes to with respect to wage, income, and gender, right? We will continue to fight. Your fight is our fight. And we just bid, you see, on service contract. We got them. We were able to protect our pension. We were able to protect our job security. We were able to fight for people who were contract out. Because human rights are workers' rights. Is that correct? Yes! Human rights are students' rights. Is that correct? Yes! So when we fight, we have democracy. And when we fight, we win. 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 Fuck you, sing.
My name is Gabriella. I'm a student. I'm a third year at the University of California, Santa Barbara. What brought me up here is this movement is the fight for workers that's been going on for nearly 3 years. You know, the workers on campus were the first ones that were ever said, acknowledged me and said hi to me, as opposed to most of the admin at the UC.
And why is it taking so long for the workers to get a contract here at UC? I understand they've been fighting for 3 years to get a contract.
Because the UC is greedy. Just in fact, that's the fact. The UC is greedy. They don't want to give up any money. At any point in time they see that they can get money from workers or students, they'll do it. So that's really what it is.
You think it's more like a business than a public university?
Definitely. The UC is not a school as it's supposed to be seen. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation is what it is.
You think these regents should be removed? I mean, it seems like they're representing corporations and big business and not the interests of students and workers.
I definitely think they should be removed. They're realtors. They're the ones that are also causing the housing crisis here in California at the same time. They're not voted in democratically. They're appointed by the governor of California, which we really need to change that system such that students vote in the regents democratically.
And you talk about property developers, housing crisis. How are they involved in that?
I know for a fact that one of the regents, I'm not sure.
Richard Blum?
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
Famous Richard Blum.
At Santa Barbara, one of them owns most of the real estate in Ivy, which is where most students are, and there's 99% like occupancy that's full in Ivy, which is crazy. So, and then you have so many students that are houseless. They're the ones causing housing crisis and gentrification around the UCs.
So you're saying some regents like Richard Blum are actually profiting from the housing crisis. What kind of rents are students paying at UC Santa Barbara?
I want to say at least $1,400 for one bedroom, if not even more. I know some students are paying up to $1,800 for one bedroom, and you have students that are, when it's supposed to be only 2 people, you'll find 4 or 5 people because that's how it is.
And it's a rich state. There are a lot of billionaires in California. It doesn't seem like the students are benefiting from the great wealth in California.
Not at all. Not at all. Our tuition dollars are just going to the regents and building up their pockets.
So you're against the raising of tuition. It should be free, shouldn't it? I mean, it used to be free.
Definitely. This is ridiculous that they keep raising tuition on students. It's affecting so many students, especially undocumented students.
How does it affect undocumented students?
Undocumented students don't get financial aid like the ones in who are residents in California. So any increase, they have to find work, they have to work extra hard, they have to find scholarships to cover the extra tuition that's increased.
So what does that create as far as the stress on students? I mean, it seems like survival, if you can't survive rent and everything else, it's difficult getting an education.
No, definitely. It elongates the time that students, so you have students that aren't graduating in 4 years, you have them graduating 5, 6, 7. I know a person that actually took 8 years to graduate from UCSB because of it, because he was houseless, because he was struggling with the tuition.
So students are being squeezed out, working class, poor students. The rich students, they do okay?
Yeah, they do perfectly fine.
My name is Kaveh. Today, the UC Regents are meeting together to decide on a few key issues. One of the main reason that we're here today is because of the labor contract that they're trying to fight for. It seems that we've been fighting for this for about 3 years, for a fair wage, fair just overall better quality employment for the workers that we are here supporting. I am a constituent of the AFSCME 3299 labor union, but I'm also a student, and that's why we're here today, just to fight for justice for the working class.
And the Regents, who do they represent? It seems you have a lot of millionaires, billionaires on the Regents.
Absolutely, yes. It seems that they're very indicative of the class they represent as well. They're made up, like as you said, multimillionaires who, it seems to them that it isn't in their best interest to care about the people who basically maintain the facilities that allow them to function, operate their corporation, which is the University of California.
And there's an issue of outsourcing, contracting out. What does that mean?
So essentially the key issue about outsourcing is that when the university employs certain types of employees, given that we're here for the service workers, what they will do is they'll outsource them, which means that they'll pay a third-party company that already has a pool of service workers to choose from who are not associated directly with the University of California. What that means is that these employees, since they're no longer attached to the university, they are without benefits, they are without job security, some of the basic necessities of just being employed and having some sense of security for your well-being.
So is this part of privatization?
Absolutely. They're privatizing their jobs here. Sooner or later, we'll start to see that employees on the university campus themselves are simply there to work for other companies and not even for the university anymore.
And how is this affecting students?
It affects the students because it starts to show us the immorality of the institution that we are currently occupying, which is the university, right? So we understand the university to be a place of learning, to be a place of like high value, as the university and the Regents themselves advertise it as. Yet they continue to engage in these unfair labor practices that are just completely baffling. And honestly, I don't, as a student myself, and I believe that a lot of students here can feel the same way, that we do not want to partake in this if we have nothing else to do about it.
And what do you study here?
I study political science and sociology at the University of California, Santa Barbara.
So you've come up all the way from Santa Barbara?
That's correct. We got notice of this about 24 hours ago. We found out there was a bus coming and we all got aboard.
Okay, my name is Jose Angel Velasquez. Okay, yes. My horse's name is Rayo. I'm here in support of the local 3299 K7 who just ratified a contract yesterday, and the service people just ratified a contract today. The UC system, all the UC Regents who are politically appointed, they should be embarrassed of what they forced, and I mean it in the nice way. I'm thankful and I'm grateful that Becky Gilpa, as a representative at the union, was able to work out this deal after 3 years of no contract with them. But still, the workers whom I did, out of the last 11 days, I was out there 9 days at the picket line with them. 50 years ago, I was a 10-year-old kid, and I was at the front lines with Cesar Chavez as a picket line. And I saw two lawyers, Cohen and this other guy that became a maggot, Marshall Gantz. But I wanted to do what they were doing. 3 weeks ago, I became the lawyer in name of the 3299 workers and in name of any and all UC students throughout the campuses and the workers. There's still a fight to go. They're asking for the COLA, cost of living adjustment, $1,412. That should be embarrassing. They should be getting $5,000. And if the TAs throughout the state, in the 10 universities, withhold the grades, they cannot be forced to do the grades. That's indentured servant. They cannot do that. That's slavery. You hold the grades back, and all the foundation people that give this sons of bitches money, they will hold it. They will tell them, what are you doing? They will come to you begging, and they will give you $5,000 at a minimum. Do not give the grades out. Do not give the grades out. You have the power of the entire system. Not only Santa Cruz, but UC Berkeley, UC Davis, all the other UCs. I don't even know. I went to Santa Clara Law School, but that doesn't matter. The UC never accepted it.
Hi, my name is Ivar, and I'm with the People's Park Committee, and we're trying to keep People's Park from getting raised and turned into 1,000 units of market rate housing. They're claiming to put a permanent homeless support services project there, but they're not actually going to put any money towards it. That's UC. They're just going to give a little tiny piece of People's Park to the city of Berkeley. And People's Park is already a permanent housing homeless support services around the clock anyways, and it doesn't cost the UC really any money. So let's just, keep using it for what it is, and also it's just such an important part of Berkeley's heritage. And that's one of the reasons I've really come out to try and save the park, is because Berkeley is changing, and there is no more meaningful living monument to the 1960s radicalism that so defines Berkeley and UC in that era than People's Park.
Is this part of privatization that's going on and everything's being services?
You betcha. Yeah, they started out with the public-private partnership model for this particular project, and that developer actually fell through. Interestingly, that developer was going to get a 75-year ground lease to operate all of these market rate units, no affordable units, no quote-unquote affordable units. For 75 years, they're going to operate them. And my understanding is usually these agreements with UC, the other public-private dorm building contract had a full occupancy clause, so that if there were vacant units, the taxpayer, UC, the state, was going to be on the hook for having to pay for those vacant units. This is really privatization gone wild.
Who do the Regents represent? I mean, there seem to be mostly businessmen, billionaires. Are there any workers or tenants in the Regents?
That I'm not sure about, but they definitely represent the 1%. And for instance, Richard Bloom, who was involved in the Berkeley post office, he got a sweetheart contract selling off federal post office property to his buddies and basically himself in the real estate industry. He's a billionaire. He's married to Dianne Feinstein, Senator Feinstein. So that's the kind of people we're talking about. I think the Regents should be a lot more representative of the state of California and the students of the UC system. That's for sure. And this is kind of about property rights and about the 1% and their right of dominion over all of the rest of us and all the land of the earth, because that's really the reason why they want People's Park back. They'd be happy to fence it off and just bulldoze it. They don't really care if there's going to be any housing there. This is about kind of an old score to settle with the UC, at least in my opinion. It's quite clear from everything that they've done and the back and forth and the kind of tricky stuff. It's not really about building anything. It's about getting rid of the park.
Isabel Chavez. So today the UC Regents are having a meeting about AFSCME's contract, and AFSCME has been without a contract for almost 3 years now. And other unions that we've been working with have gotten a contract, but AFSCME has not yet. And although the service workers just got a tentative agreement last night, the patient care workers still haven't gotten their contract. So us students from all the UCs, every UC is here represented. We are here to fight for AFSCME and so that they can get their contract that they've been trying to get for the past 3 years.
Where are you a student?
I'm from UC Davis.
I see. So there's students here from all over the state of California?
Yes, there are people here from San Diego, UC San Diego as well.
And why is it taking this long for them to get a contract?
I mean, if I were to guess, I would say that it's because AFSCME 3299 is represented by some of the lower paid workers on campus, and as well as mostly AFSCME is represented by people of color and immigrants and women. And those are the people that the UC does not want to pay and does not want to protect.
And is the Regents mostly are millionaires, billionaires? Do you think they're representing this, not only the workers but the students?
No, there are no billionaire students. So I don't know how us as students can expect the Regents to have our issues in mind either if they're just interested in making a profit off of us.
And they wanted to raise the fees. That was supposed to come up today. What's that all about? Apparently it's illegal. They didn't give proper notice.
I don't know too much about that. There's some other people here protesting that. I'm mainly just here for AFSCME.
And how has this affected you personally, the situation of the service workers?
Well, I have built a relationship with some of the service workers on campus, and they're some of the most honest, beautiful people I've met, and they are just trying to do their job to keep our campus safe and clean. And the patient care workers are just doing their job to protect the patients and take care of them, but they're not getting paid a livable wage, and they're not protected and not getting health care benefits for doing all of this work for us students and patients and everyone who goes to the UC and the UC medical centers.
The healthcare part of UC, these UC hospitals are very profitable. It's a big business. It seems they're making a lot of money, yet it seems that the workers who work at them are having a problem surviving. community?
Exactly, yeah. The UC loves to invest and like, so I'm from UC Davis, and there's at the UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, there's a huge problem with outsourcing labor from contracted companies instead of hiring AFSCME workers to do the patient care in hospitals at the UC Davis Medical Center. The UC is hiring contracted workers who are paid below minimum wage and who don't have protections like the union workers do. And so not only is it taking jobs away from the AFSCME workers, but these contracted workers that are working to replace them their lives are in danger. So it affects them as well. And
it's part of privatization, you think?
Yes. I don't know the full details, but currently the UC is planning a rehabilitation center in Sacramento, and it's going to be filled with all outsourced labor. And you know, UC is a business. They're trying to make a profit, so it would make sense for them to want to get the cheapest labor possible, and that's unfortunately contracted out workers.
Do you think that should be the goal of a public university?
Yeah.
Making money? I mean, profiteering?
That should not be the goal of a public university. It's honestly kind of crazy that they call it public universities now, because they're not public.
Alright, I'm going to read a poem because of one of the organizing mentors that I hold really dear in my heart. They've taught me to always acknowledge and recognize wherever you are, that you are on stolen land. So I wrote this literally 5 a.m. on the bus, so I hope y'all like it. Let it forever be known that whenever the wind blows and the air moves the branches of nature's towers, as the leaves rustle and roar to the point that the echo meets the crash of the tides on the bank shore, that we have heard their voice. Let it forever be known and forever be told that empires fall when the white marble columns have crumbled into dust and the innovations of terror are consumed by rust, that the children of resistance will reclaim this bloodied soil covered by the gray mold of colonial disease, which to this day has us cry, I can't breathe. That the world of the past, the dystopias of the present, and the liberated world of our future know that we are on Ohlone territory. Unseated and stolen, but not lost, for their ancestors' energies transcend through the wind's roar, to the waves at the shore, to the trees as they age and grow. We are not alone, so let the kings and queens of empire tremble. And that's it.
Okay. I wrote something because I'm bad at impromptu. The UC Regents are useless to a university that is for the people. The UC Regents are criminals whose greed has made education inaccessible for most and steered education into being focused only on growing the military of the most violent and bloodthirsty empire on the planet. We do not need the UC Regents. At UC Santa Cruz, the efforts of grad students, workers, and undergraduate students who have been in solidarity through and through have demonstrated that we, as a body of students and workers, able to understand what kind of university we need, no longer need the UC Regents. Therefore, today we come here not to ask anything from the thieves and power-hungry people that sit guarded by an overwhelming police force, afraid of the anger that their crimes create, but rather we come to let the Regents know your time in power is quickly coming to an end. The love and community built through the actions of workers and students working in conjunction has awoken in us the realization that we are, in our solidarity and care for one another, more powerful than any and all of the Regents combined. That our compassion, understanding, and dedication to one another make the university a place where accessible knowledge aimed at the prosperity of our communities can really finally come into being. We do not need to appeal to administration for the resources to make the university a place where we can survive. The university without its students and without its workers cannot operate. We will no longer be dictated or threatened by the administrative puppets who are too lazy to even pretend they care, who serve no purpose other than ensuring that the university continues its exploitative business as usual. As undocumented students at UC Santa Cruz, we are highly aware of the ways in which the institution contributes to upholding and creating the systems and oppressive forces that perpetuate the imposition of our so-called illegality. However, we denounce this illegality today by firmly questioning the status of a university that shamelessly sits upon and profits from stolen land. We believe we have no use for a university of this nature, and that just like the borders imposed by white settler nation states, this kind of university should too be obliterated. We will no longer tolerate the uncaring faces of administrations, mostly composed of white men and women sleeping soundly in the comfort of their all too high salaries. We will no longer stand the continuous efforts of the university to silence us when we face acts of violence, anti-immigrant sentiment, sexual assault, and white supremacy on and off campus. And we stand with all of these students and workers who inspire us to say that the police and ICE as enforcers of these acts of violence have no place in a university that is for the people. We are inspired by the sheer courage and determination of those who we stand in solidarity with. We are inspired by the students of BSU who fearlessly sought to fight for their demands to be met in one of the most uplifting actions in recent UCSC history. We are inspired by the small group of graduate students who decided enough was enough and whose dedication to solidarity and community led them to seek the improvement of living conditions for others beyond themselves. We are inspired by the folks who know what solidarity looks like, folks who will feed each other, who will stand up for one another, and who will breathe life into one another when the university threatens to suffocate them. We are inspired by you, and as such, we continue with our collective struggle to make the university a place where Black and brown students can thrive, to make the university a place where workers who are overworked, who are disrespected, who are single parents, who are undocumented, who are the living, breathing life that makes the university function, can be treated with the respect and care that they deserve. As undocumented students living under the constant weight of an imposed illegality that tells us we do not exist, we are inspired by you to forcefully shed this limitation and insist that in fact, we are very much alive and growing, and we are unapologetically afraid of pushing for our needs and the needs of all those folks who we stand in sincere solidarity with, so that we can make the university a place of learning from one another, of growing together, a place of resistance and long-lasting change. Once upon a time as an undergrad, I told Jeanette Napolitano that even before coming onto campus to speak to undocumented students as the new UC president, she had already succeeded in dividing us. There were those of us who thought we should work with her. There were those of us who could not stand the thought of working with the right-hand henchman of the deporter-in-chief. She took on the rest of the meeting by explicitly telling a student she did not feel the need to apologize for her actions as the secretary of the department in charge of detaining and deporting our families. When students asked her for more funding opportunities for students that have no access to federal aid and are unauthorized to work, she heartlessly replied that she had left her checkbook at home. The lesson of that meeting was learned. Whatever side of the argument we sit on, the overarching fact is that these powerful perpetrators of white colonial violence do not have a conscience. They have hurt us continuously for the past 500 years, and we do not need to appeal to them any longer. We stand in solidarity with all those students and workers who know there is a better kind of university to be created, and we only need each other to care and feel for one another to be able to accomplish it.
Kako, Ovao Joshua Kilo Kainay Kapon ng Benguao. I come from Hawaii Island, from the mountain of Mauna Kea. We really want to show our support and solidarity with all of you who are standing for your rights, for equal wages, for everything that we as indigenous and native peoples deserve that right. and we have come. I myself, I have no investment in the University of California system. However, that system has been investing in the desecration of my sacred mountain. So I'm here to call and stand in solidarity and ask of all of you too, another aspect you can call to is to call for UC to divest from projects that continue the genocide of indigenous peoples, such as the TMT project desecrating our sacred mountain. Through Caltech, we're talking upwards of $200 to $300 million they have invested in that project that continues to criminalize our people. Right now, back home on the mountain, our elders have taken the front line and we've been holding the mountain for nearly today is 193 days. And our elders have taken the front line this time, but they are supported by the tens of thousands of us. This is the second round already too. Back in 2015, we shut them down too. And we held the mountain for 6 months. So in the second round now, our people are activated. We marched through our cities 20,000 strong. And we're continuing to stand in solidarity right now with everyone else here. But really, that's an aspect that we call for your support, is to call for your support, your financial support, to come back to serve you, and not the continued genocide and destruction of critically protected spaces. Mauna Kea as well is conservation land. So the idea of practicing on how we're going to care for our planet, how we're going to do better by our natural resources, how to respect indigenous rights, native peoples, it all plays in the same conversation. But in that too, it's a powerful thing right now that we have moving in Hawaii. But it's through what we call kapuaroha that we stand. Kapuaroha is that sacred mandate, that dedication to nonviolent direct action. Because at this point we've set it down. That if we gotta shut it down, we will. And so when hear you guys, they're not gonna listen to you, shut it down. If not, it's business as usual for them, and they continue to just roll about. Do what you gotta do. You have our support. We ask for your support as well. We will be here again tomorrow as well too, in ceremony and in prayer. We want to help to bring this energy, this mana of aloha, this mana of aloha aina, respect to the land and its peoples, and the better care and treatment of all peoples. We'll bring that prayer down here tomorrow. So, it is with great honor and great thanks that I'm able to come and stand here on these lands and to help support all of you. We introduced a letter that was put forth by the UN today that is citing the breach of the UN DRIP, respecting the rights of indigenous peoples, by the United States, which is via the University of California. So as much as they want to paint themselves to be more of a liberal-minded institution, they are actually continuing to fund projects such as TMT, the 30-meter telescope that is bringing massive amounts of money, pulling away from you. And not to mention, back home at the University of Hawaii, this project is also stealing from our students. They took 5% out of every single study at the University of Hawaii to pay for the legal actions to support TMT. So they're literally stealing from the students of Hawaii. And in that, the University of California is a party to that crime as well. I truly call that a crime, to steal from the students, which is exactly what's happening here. So, standing in solidarity with all of you, mahalo nui loa, thank you all so much for continuing to stand strong. This generation is the one, we're going to huli that system, we're going to flip this system upside down, because it needs to change. Kukia imauna.
As president, we have a lot to work on to ensure a secure future for the university and the need to preserve and increase access to a quality, affordable higher education for California students. And I think we're doing just that. Earlier this week, we released our undergraduate enrollment data for the fall of 2019. For the fourth consecutive year, we increased enrollment of in-state undergraduates, continuing to serve really as a gateway to a brighter future for our young people. The university enrolled 2,614 additional California undergraduates, an uptick of 1.4% from last year. We now have a total of 185,559 in-state students. With the support of the governor and the legislature, the university has added more than 17,000 California undergrads since 2015-16. And this follows our recent achievement in the fall of 2016, where we set a goal to enroll an additional 10,000 California undergraduates over 3 years. We exceeded that goal. And so we look forward to continuing to partner with our state leaders to keep our doors wide open for Californians. Enrollment growth will undoubtedly be part of our discussion today about the university's financial future. Earlier this month, Governor Newsom released his budget for the 2020-21 fiscal year, which demonstrates the governor's investment in the future of California. I think the proposed budget represents a positive and welcome step toward providing the funds necessary to uphold our mission of education, research, and public service. The budget provides UC with a $217.7 million increase in ongoing funding and $55.3 million in additional one-time funds. This support will enable us to cover a significant portion, but not all, of the university's core operating cost increases in the coming year. It also supports medical education expansion, wildfire preparedness, and legal services for our immigrant students. It will help us expand online course offerings through UC Extension, provide UC subject matter project computer literacy training for K-12 teachers, and support a grant program for animal shelters run through UC Davis. We will continue to work with the governor and the legislature on our shared goals and work with the board, our students, and other friends of the university to advocate for state support in the areas of enrollment growth, access and affordability, student services for vulnerable populations, and deferred maintenance of our physical infrastructure. In consultation with our campuses, we will also continue to request that the legislature return the UC Office of the President to a budgeting approach that empowers the regents and the chancellors to determine the level of services provided by UC OP and how the Office of the President structures its own budget.
University! Our university! Whose university? Our university! Whose university? Our university! Whose university? Our university! Our university! Now workers, united! We'll never be divided! The students, now workers, united! We'll never be divided!